Hello. As soon as I sat down, I saw in the chat that someone water ganged me, so I had to start with that. I don't know if I love my camera right here, but I don't want to make too many changes and adjustments before, or not even before, but after I've already started this. Hey guys. Hi. Go to bed already? Can you guys hear me? Hi. Everybody's saying hi to each other, but no one's saying hi to me. I'll wait. I was supposed to pull up a clip to play anyway. Thank you, Melissa. You can hear and see me. I'm going to start giving a special shout out to whoever says hi to me first, to whoever says that they can hear me, because, or I need to start doing like a countdown or something to know how many seconds it takes before you guys can actually like hear and see me. And I feel so rude looking at my phone, but I do want to pull up a clip that I just might play. Hi. Amanda's got to go too. Oh, my dress. Yes, we're going to get to that. Okay. Let me pull it. Let me get comfy first. It's like, that's why I got this like ottoman thing. And I cannot pull my desk close to me, so let's move my computer. The title is Chef's Kiss. Yeah, a lot of people have noticed this about Gabby, and now all of a sudden, because I said something, the boys are losing their minds. If you haven't noticed, if you haven't checked out Keemstar's, not even just Keemstar's Twitter, they're like, here's what I did. I called them straight white men. I called Keemstar, Nick Diorio, Augie, and Bo Black. So the last two didn't say anything that I saw. And I called them straight white men. Oh no, don't do that. And then they were like, but you didn't name this person and this person and this person who's my friend. And I'm like, okay, then I'll talk about all you guys. Fine. What do you guys think you're getting at? The boys are so mad. So, we had to let the girls out to play. Actually, this dress was totally planned last night. But before I get into anything, I do want to get in the habit of being just a little bit more professional. Welcome to Basically a Podcast. This is my weekly live event. It's a conversation with my audience. It is not a main channel video. Though if you mistook this for a main channel video, then I appreciate the compliment, because I want to get this production quality up. But yes, it is a weekly live stream. It's a conversation with my audience. And because it is a conversation, and because my mind is like all over the place, expect tangents, expect disjointed thoughts, expect what you would expect from just a conversation with a friend, or at this point 145, which we'll see what that number gets to, depending on how many angry people enter the chat. But let's see. So, something that I want to also remind you guys is that we do keep it professional, and we not keep it professional. We keep it friendly in the live chat, though. Little secret, it's on subscriber mode. So, I do expect that shouldn't be a problem, but it should always be noted that we want to keep the chat friendly. People here, please, or go to Twitter, or vent to a friend, or go on your Instagram stories, or write it down in a journal. That's a really good idea. But yeah, let's have a good time. And if you are here to have a good time, give this video a like, please. Please, please. A lot of us could use it today. Well, not that the likes from me really do much for you, but hey, could boost morale, right? Ego Baby says the bros are genuinely the bros TM. I'm sorry, that's hilarious. Okay, so let's see where we are. And to the producer who left me a note, yes, we did get one of those this week. So we'll talk about it in a second. Just to let you guys know, because I like to give you guys a little heads up, for those of you who are so kind as to attend these podcasts, whether it be live on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. on YouTube, or if you're watching it in the playback, or if you listen on Spotify or any other podcast streaming platform. Thank you, first of all, for doing those things, or one of those things, any number of those things. If you could hit the like button or follow, subscribe, all of that good stuff. What was I even going to say? For those of you who do tune in, I like to give you guys just a little quick look ahead at what our video is going to look like this week. And it's no huge secret. This past week on Wednesday, I put out a video that was part one of a part two. I refuse to call two parts a series, a part two set, called, more or less like that, where I really kind of break down the podcast that she went on, Mom's Basement podcast with Keemstar and FaZe Banks. So I really kind of broke everything down, and I did my very best. I did my darndest to give Gabby criticism that I could give. And my hypothesis, and which let's just go ahead and I guess that really kind of goes into what we talked about last week too, in last week's video. My hypothesis was that it was just going to piss off the stands more. And I don't know if there's a correlation there, or there's a correlation, but I don't know if there's causation there. But the stands seem as pissed as ever. So, but I knew they're angry people. So today, I mean, if you couldn't tell based on what's been going on Twitter, as well as the thumbnail, I do call it a two-parter. Jane, you water ganged me. Should not have read your message. I do call it a two-parter, but then sometimes I'll be like, my two-parter or my two-part. It's not a video; it's two videos, so it's a set. So, do you guys want a fashion bit? Did I skip over fashion, or maybe I just need to rearrange where I put that? Yeah, fashion moment. What am I wearing today? I really want you guys, if you can, to open up Instagram to take a look at what I'm wearing there. Maybe we should have some sort of like emoji that you could comment on Instagram that lets me know that you're watching from BAP, even though like I'm not like actively trying to like increase my engagement and analytics on Instagram. I don't like get sponsors there or anything like that, but it would help to know that like you guys are actually taking a look at it. A microphone, basically a podcast should be the fun microphone, the like, the old timey one, the silver one. That would be a lot of fun if you could comment there, because then you can really see what it looks like. So here's the deal with a lot of the dresses, a lot of the clothes, but I wear a lot of dresses I wear on BAP. I list them on Depop, and I'm not opposed to listing this on Depop, but I just don't know because it is a one of a kind. I made this last night. In fact, I started it around 8:30 and 9 o'clock, and then at 11, like right after Jake had already fallen asleep, I was like, damn, I finished. But I've been holding on to this fabric for a little while. I've been telling you guys that I was going to be making garments, and then I hadn't like really had time. You guys saw that. You know what? I need to make a smaller version of this dress for Moses is what I need to do. That needs to be the next step. And we need to take an Instagram picture together. But yeah, I made this one, though I will say I worked off of a bodice or like a dress that I got from one of these stores. I'm telling you guys, these stores that I'm shopping at, I let's have a full-on fashion update, okay? So some of these stores that I've been shopping at, I've been finding really great finds. And then in other places, I'm getting a lot of those, like if you've ever seen those like Facebook pages that are like what I bought versus what I got type of things. I'm thinking about doing a video like that because it's ridiculous. Like what I see in the picture versus what I receive. And then like what it says is the fabric, like it's all lies. And then I reach out to the company and they're like, well, wait till you receive your entire order before we try to do something about it. I'm like, really? Like, when's that going to be? Because I ordered this stuff like 3 months ago. So I'm not loving that kind of approach, though I have picked out a couple of things from Poshmark. So if those things are like really fun pieces that I don't see myself wearing again, I'll probably list those on Depop. And then the other thing, which is like fun for me and fun for those who love fashion, but unfortunately is not going to be anything that kind of contributes to Depop, is that I am trying one of these like fashion rental subscription things that's comparable to Rent the Runway, but it's more kind of anthropology kind of inspired type of brands. Like if you guys have seen ads for Farm Rio, oh, I want to try their clothes so bad. So I'm going to try those. They send 6 pieces a month. So that'll be good for like BAPs and a couple of videos. So we'll see. The Shein problem. Yeah, you never really know what you're going to get. You might find something really amazing. Like if you do it a nice big order, you'll get 1 or 2 pieces that you're like, this is awesome. And then now I have like 12 pieces that are like shit. Not necessarily shit. I mean, some people might enjoy them, but just not what I wanted or expected for basically a podcast. Leah, of course you like Farm Rio. You've got great taste. I mean, I haven't bought anything from there yet. I almost bought there's a little blouse they have that's got macaws all over it. And I almost bought it, but I really wanted it with the pants that the girl's wearing in the ad, in the like photo for it. And these big colorful pants that have like letters all over them. And I can't find them. I think they're out. It makes me sad. So that's kind of a fashion update for now. Someone said, NF4 commented, no clue how Alicia's place is still standing with her attire being so fire. I appreciate you, as well as my, with as much stuff as I have around me being such a fire hazard too. You know what? I feel like not only is my place should be on fire, but is it a little crooked? There we go. There we go. Sorry, you guys. I hate having to adjust while I'm on camera, but feels better, right? Feels a little bit better? Okay. So where were we? So that was this week's video and last week's video. Last week, of course, we talked. Oh, where am I? Last week we talked about Alex James' history with Gabby Hanna, particularly in the what he's outlined in his most recent videos. So if you haven't paid attention to, or if you haven't listened to that BAP, feel free to listen if you care to just hear more thoughts on that situation. I think love or hate Alex, I think most people can agree that he is entertaining as hell. So there's that. And then today, so again, Jen Denton is in the chat. Hey, Jen. Thank you, Jen, for showing up and popping in and for giving me a little talk today, a little pep talk. So today's topic, we can probably guess from the thumbnail, but it's interesting that that, like I said, the boys are so mad. It's interesting that they're so mad all of a sudden, because this is something that it's a criticism of Gabby Hanna, for one. It wasn't initially a criticism of any of these guys, but one of the observations that a few people have made is that Gabby Hanna, who is very, very much disdainful of drama channels, right? Very vocal about it, seems to really target. It's kind of a multifaceted thing, because she says she talks about drama channels in a sweeping way. They're negative. They're tabloids, right? We'll talk a little bit more about this. But then her new friends seem to be people like Keemstar, and like I said, like Nick Diorio, Augie, Bo Blacks, and then of course, like, I don't want to upset them because I didn't include Tipster, because I didn't include Edwin's Generation and somebody named Vega, somebody I don't even know. Most of these people I don't even know. So the question is just, it's really posing a question to myself and to the audience. Why is it that those drama channels are okay, but the rest of them are not? That's the question. Yeah. And so let me play a clip from somebody pointed out. Thank you. Hi, I see you guys are posting posting, oops, producers, I didn't put the timestamp from BAP16. I don't know if you can grab that really quick, but I think I have it. One of my patrons pointed out to me that this is something that I actually talked about and that other people have talked about too, but it's something that we discussed briefly on BAP number 16. So let me see if I pulled it up at the right part. Drew B says Gabby attacked Dominic because she wanted to smash him and his rejection bruised her ego. I hope you guys can hear. Notice that she didn't attack the other guy who passed. Maybe. Am I even at the right point? Little McNuggets. No, I'm not. Thank you, you guys. If you want to watch along, I'm going to 138.40. So here we go. It's a little before. I don't know if you're in the audience. Just a journalist. Taylor, hey. If you're here, hi. Taylor has like 4 videos on her channel since I watched, and they're great. She has just started making YouTube videos, and she's really good at it. She's just really good at talking in front of a camera, so much better than I am. Here's another plug for you, Taylor. She's pointed out, she was saying that like people like Vlog Squad as an example, people are saying nasty things to her, and not just Vlog Squad, there's also people just like commentary channels and shit, people online who are saying nasty things about Gabby Hanna, that are talking about her looks, or that are straight up mocking her singing ability or lack thereof, like actually just being nasty and not being constructive in any way. However, she seems to go for the women who are critical of her, that are fair, that are very fair. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to go so far as to say conventionally attractive women. If that offends somebody, then I'm an offensive asshole. But I've just got to learn how to start being a little bit more real with you guys and not tiptoe around certain topics. But conventionally attractive, smart women who give her fair criticism. I don't think conventionally attractive is what Taylor said, just so you know. But she did say these women who give her fair criticism. If you haven't checked her out, just a journalist. Her name is Taylor. She's so super sweet, so super nice. Like the fact that I even said, like, watch this video. She's really good. She was like, I don't deserve this. So watch her videos. They're good. She deserves your attention. Anyway, if you want to watch more of that, that is BAP episode 16. And we ended around the 140 hour and 40-minute mark. But that's more or less what we'll be talking about. I did notice that somebody said that those guys typically don't like channels that do little research, which is a good measure to hold, or a good standard to hold other channels accountable to. But they don't. But I will say, they don't have any reason or right or like merit to use that criticism against me, because I do back up what I say with facts, and I very rarely give what's just an opinion or just a speculation and then just like back it up with nothing. So, but if that's what they stand for, then that's great. That's a good hill to go down on. Where were we? So, and then before I go on any further, I don't think we have any trigger warnings for today, but if producers can think of any that I might need to, general misogyny, like language, whatever. But how about for some good news? Guess what? BAP has its first sponsor ever, which I'm so excited about. So Adam and Eve has decided to partner with basically a podcast. And so they've given me a code, literally the easiest code that you could give me. I'm so happy about it. They've given me the code HELLO for 50% off one item, plus free shipping in the US and Canada, with some exclusions apply, which you may have heard in, other integrations. A couple of things about them too, and they don't require that I tell you guys this, but I just thought it was interesting to know. They do have 24/7 customer service, 90-day no hassle returns. 20% of their profit goes to fight the spread of HIV around the world, and 2021 is Adam and Eve's 50th anniversary, which is exciting. And I was just wondering, When I saw that talking point, I was like, I wonder if how many people, when they hear like, it's our 50th anniversary, does anybody else go, oh, 1951? Because I still do that. And I'm like, nope, no, honey, we're in the 70s now. So Jen, what you just said, I'm not going to read it out loud, but it's funny just because Jake and I were watching like bloopers and highlights from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and Danny DeVito's running around talking about how his wife is what you said. But yeah, they have partnered with BAP, and the interesting bit too is that a friend of mine recently had a sponsorship with them, and I decided to use her code. And I'm not going to tell you guys too much about my personal life. I haven't even actually taken it out of the box yet. But it was so serendipitous that right when that happened is when Jake was talking to me about something that he had heard on Elliot in the Morning, and he was like, "Oh, there's this this new toy on the market for adults that like is just like people are raving about it." And I guess Elliot was saying that he wanted to get like buy stock in the company or something like that. And I was like, oh, really interesting. And I looked it up, and they had it. Admin Eve had it on the website. And so I was like, okay, if it's this, if people are raving about it this much, I'm going to check it out. And I might as well use a code and get 50% off, because if it's, it's something nice, like it's not ridiculously expensive, but nice to get 50% off of it. So, who knows how much those are going to be worth one day. And maybe patrons, I'll let you know what it is that I got. But yeah, it was so popular that it was back ordered, but then it only took like a week or two to come in. So with all that said, I'm going to check in with the super chats, because I've seen a couple of you super generous people. Hey, Tansy. Tansy just says, hi, Alicia. Love you. I love you too. Thank you. Thank you for the donation. $10. I also see Lindsay Kelly. You donated $10. Thank you. I don't see a message with that. If there was supposed to be a message, please, I would say at either, who's the easiest? Either Selby or Leaf, to send the message if there was a message that was supposed to go along with it. Let's see. Dylan of Earth, $20. Thank you, Dylan. I hope this goes through. I love your dress. Let the boys stay mad, right? Thank you. Love that. They can stay mad. Oh, they're so triggered. So funny. Audrey N says, I can't stay because I start my work study today, but I just wanted to say I love you and your content. Heart, your dress is gorgeous. Thank you. I don't know if you're still here, Audrey, but that was so sweet. Thank you. Katie Lorenz says, hi, this is my first time catching you live. Yay! I love listening to you talk and find your take on things so interesting. Plus, you're gorgeous. Thank you. You're gorgeous too. And let's see. Ms. Tanisha, 140 Canadian. What? That's too much. You did this before. You're so sweet. Thank you. I love you. Tanisha said, just got home from work. I'm so happy to see you thriving. You look so beautiful. Much love from Canada, with all the different colored hearts. Thank you. Shelby Stowers says, how dare you be hot, brilliant, and talented. Don't let the glasses fool you. I'm not that smart. According to Mr. Daniel Keem. Tansy also said, my favorite day of the week. This is so fun. Yay! That makes me happy to hear. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Thank you for helping to start this off on a nice note. Not necessarily with the donations in mind. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, nobody's going to be upset because they got donations, but just with all the kind comments, just starting us off on a really good note. And also, one of my producers is like accusing me of being a MIT. Why would you do that? It's so funny because I was somebody told me, I might be all over the place. If you guys didn't know, Keemstar's been making videos about me, and I only saw one of them where he's like jogging and called me I'm going to try to see how monetized this can stay, a stupid effing bee. And so I was just like not watching any more of these. But somebody else was like, yeah, he made some sort of remark about your glasses. I'm like, who what adult person makes fun of another person for wearing glasses? And apparently he says that I do it to look smart. It's like, honey, these I use because I have a disability, because I need to see. Um, but then I was talking to one of my longtime subscribers, and I was like, I don't need to worry about anybody thinking that like I'm not smart. I like went to MIT. That is a thing that happened. And then he was like, wait, you actually went to MIT? And I was like, yeah. I've mentioned it a couple of times. The stands love to tell people that I went there. And he was like, but you don't use that as a flex. And I was like, what's the point? Like there's no point. I don't need to prove to you guys. The only way I'm going to prove to you guys I'm smart, if that is something that I even care to prove to you guys, is just by being it. And it's not really something that I care to prove. To be honest with you, I'm full enough of myself in that department that it's not even something I really think about. So such a MIT, I know. Totally. Let me go back to my my outline. So where were we? How's the chat doing? You guys feeling okay? I know it's probably a little bit slower now that since it's just subscribers only, but we now have 442 people in the chat. Hey guys, 446, 453. Hi people. Even if you're here to hate on me, hi. Thank you for showing up. Love you guys. All of you. I love you guys. Keemstar, Bo Blacks, Tipster, Edwin's Generation, all y'all. I love you. I wish I could give you big fat kisses with my red lips. Let's see. We're here. What does that mean? Oh, that's just where we are. Okay, so yeah, there were a couple of things that see, it's funny because we started with a topic which was, okay, Gabbie Hanna hates drama channels, but then all of her new friends are drama channels. They're a different kind of drama channels. They're men. They're all straight men, something that we've noticed. So what gives? So that is something that I want to talk about. But then now that I even just so much as posed that topic for thoughts, stuff has happened. So let's talk about the fallout just from me posting that question, and then we'll maybe go into some of the people's thoughts on why this is. So let's talk about it, because it's no surprise. It was all going down today. I woke up and people are like, "Oh my gosh, Twitter's on fire." I'm like, "Really? What's new?" And then I was like, "No, wait, this is actually Keemstar is quote tweeting me. No, wait, this is a video from Keemstar. Keemstar, I still have not hit 50K yet, and Keemstar is making a video to just while he's running. He couldn't like pause to start, so he gave whatever little breath he had to call me a stupid effing bee with however many million he has. And I just thought that was hilarious. At the same time too, because somebody said, yeah, he's making fun of you for wearing glasses, and I'm like, but I'm not wearing glasses in my profile picture. So does that mean you've watched my videos? Thank you for the views, Keem. The other thing too is that Gabbie Hanna herself does so much work to try to act like I don't exist, which I'm fine with. That's an arrangement that works for me. If it works for her, it works for me. But the fact that all of her little boyfriends are like pissed and triggered and like going the fuck off on Twitter tells me that like, I don't know that she's not involved in these conversations. But what were some of them saying? Oh yeah, I mentioned that I said that Keemstar, Nick Diorio. To be fair, like obviously Keemstar is probably like the most prolific asshole on YouTube that we're aware of. The one that I've been most aware of. I didn't even know about these commentary bros until a couple months ago. I guess when they started taking up for Gabby. So, and then even then, I think the only one that I had interacted with was Nick Diorio on Twitter. And I only knew his little crew to be Nick Diorio, Augie, and Bo Blacks. And I don't know anything about them, especially the other guys. I know that Edwin did like a a stream with them. And then I've heard the name Tipster here and there. Didn't know anything about him. I did say that he came into one of my live premieres for a video about Creepshow art. He wasn't rude or anything there. So when I did bring him up in another video about Creepshow art, I was like, yeah, he attended one of my live events. He seemed decent. That's literally all I knew about that guy. And I go, so I post this on here and I say that about Keem, Nick, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh yeah, she's not naming Tipster because he's Mexican and it doesn't fit her narrative. I'm like, oh, he's Mexican? I'm sorry. I thought he was a cartoon wearing Oakleys. So I went ahead, like, to the person who said that, I was like, I'm totally fine broadening this topic to just straight men. Because from what I've seen, Gabby Hanna doesn't like me. Gabby Hanna doesn't like Angelica Oles. She doesn't like Rachel Oates. She doesn't like Ready to Glare. She doesn't like the gay commentary channels either. She doesn't like Nick. She doesn't like Justin. Like, Dustin, Nick or Dustin. I just like, who does she like? These dudes, right? So I was like, I'm happy, so happy to broaden this topic to include I referred to him as my Mexican brethren. And then of course, and I spoke to him in Spanish. And then of course, people who come along, they're like, oh, this is racist because I'm making fun of the language. It's like, that's my language, bruh. And then he goes, oh, well, then it's racist because she didn't include people of color like herself. I'm like, so I'm not including him because it doesn't fit my narrative. And then, or I'm making fun of him and his language because I'm racist. Oh, but then I am Mexican. So I'm racist because I didn't initially include him. I just don't fucking know who these people are, dude. And then there's another, somebody named Vega. Literally never heard of that person before today, before somebody else again said, purposefully leaving out Vega because that doesn't fit her narrative. I don't have a narrative, bro. I don't have a narrative. I had a question. I posed a question. It wasn't a narrative. It was a question. And I think that there are various answers to that question, just to preface that. But it's just so funny how much of these people just like were like so angry and so triggered, but then they also needed to be like really included. And and I think one person, I was like, so I don't know who this person is, so what? And then somebody was like, research. I don't think that I necessarily need to know the names of all of the people that associate with this crew of people. If you guys don't recall, when Gabby Hanna herself in her own videos talking about drama channels, she lists them off, right? She's like, Angelica Oles, Dustin Daly, Ready to Glare, Spill Tea, whatever the fuck, all your names are the same, right? So there was that happened. I didn't care. Then there was back when the situation with the murdered teen happened. And then if you guys don't remember, there was like this whole drama around Gabby doing her apology and then like tagging drama channels in her tags, thinking that would push it out to, in an SEO way, push it out to a greater audience. Again, something I didn't take issue with, but like she was spelling the names wrong and everything, and people were taking issue with that. So it's like, no, we don't need to know the names of all of these channels in order to have an opinion on one of them. Like, so that happened. I don't, but at the same time, like, do they know? Do these commentary bros even know that happened? Like, they claim like facts. You got to know facts. You got to know facts, bro. And like, do you guys? How much do you guys really know about Gabby Hanna's history? There was something else that wanted. Yeah, speaking of facts, so it was interesting because I did, like I said, I posed the question: why is it that? Oh no, what happened to my spot? Where was I? I posed that question, right? Like, why do initially I said straight white male, but of course, like we broaden that to include people of color. And I was interested because Tipster responded to my prompt and he said it's because they use facts, not feels. And I find this interesting for a few reasons. Because for one, why is it that nobody ever said No one ever said she doesn't give a pass to us. She doesn't give a pass to us. They told me why. And their reason why, I hate to sound like, I don't want to be that whole like social justice warrior, white feminist nonsense spewer, but sorry, I'm trying to get comfortable with my mic here. But you gave me a reason why. You didn't deny that it happened, and your reason, facts not feels, is inherently misogynistic. It's totally one thing to be like, hey, like, I don't know if it's just, it has something to do with me and my friends. We highly value research, and a lot of the channels that Gabby doesn't like, they seem to go off of their feelings and not research. Fine. Like, I don't know that I would agree with you, but that's not what you said. You said we go off of facts, not feels, like straight white men do or straight men do. And that is something that absolutely historically, like, I don't need to preach to you guys. Know that like women have been been just cast aside for all of time because we are emotional creatures, and it's like we can't have a single thought that is factual in our minds. Well, tipster, please watch my content before you say shit like that, because I back up every fact with factual evidence. But yeah, I just thought, like, you guys are just proving the point that people are making about you. That is, everything that you're doing is just proving that point. Facts, not feels. You're a stupid effing bee. Like, it's all just exactly what people expected of you. So I thought that was funny. But then here's the other funny thing, is that I didn't include Edwin, which they so wanted me to talk about. You know why? Because I have not talked about Edwin. Because Edwin got his feelings hurt over me saying something about him on Twitter. And this is going to come out, and then Edwin's going to go on Twitter, and he's going to take this clip of me saying his name, and then he's just going to go ahead and make more videos, and another, like, fucking, this time maybe like an 18-hour live stream about me. I have not said anything because Edwin, the manipulative little piece of he is, I'm going to say it, told me that if I were to make a video about him, I would be punching down because he's a smaller channel than me. because he's on a second channel now. Fine. Okay. So that's why you guys haven't really heard me mention. Also, just like his frantic, like, bickering with me was just like, ugh, it just gave me really bad, like, vibes. I was just like, I don't want to have anything to do with this kid. How is relying on facts over feelings sexist? It's not. It is sexist to believe that only men do. Sorry if you did not deserve for me to come at you that hard. That attitude is aimed towards tipster and those who think that way. But here's the funny thing on that note, right? How is that sexist? How is it sexist to value facts over feelings? First of all, there's nowhere that says that facts are more valuable than feelings, especially if we're talking about Gabbie Hanna, who does not shut up about how she's feeling and needs people to coddle her for her feelings, okay? But let's ignore that fact. Let's pay attention to the fact that I got criticized for a couple of things by these guys, okay? One being that I did not mention Edwin, right? Edwin, another straight male, right? Another straight commentary channel, male commentary channel. What is the one 9-hour live stream he did about me? What was it called? Sorry, hello leash, I'm unleashing my feels. Pause for dramatic effect, but also legitimately just like, I am just in a state of shock just hearing that. We value facts over feels, but you didn't mention my friend Edwin, who made a video about you saying he's unleashing his feels. Did it say unleashing his facts? No, he's unleashing his feels. Also, Edwin, I can help you out with titles, like, because I just don't think that you're, like, you got so much potential. You've been doing this for a while. So, is Tipster really in here and subscribe to my channel? So that's really embarrassing. Unless he wants to change his tune. So, Oh, somebody is saying that Edwin might be queer or bi or along those lines. If that's the case, I apologize and I stand corrected. Don't stand corrected about everything I said about him being male and tipster as well, and them saying like we value facts over feels, but you're gonna unleash your feels. Like, so yeah, these guys are just like they I don't know. They might be bigger babies than I've witnessed in the Gabby stand-up, and these are people with platforms. These are men with platforms that claim to value fact and logic and not emotion. Look at how I'm coming at them and like that what the hatred that Keemstar was spewing. Tell me he wasn't triggered. He made multiple videos about me. Tell me he wasn't triggered about what I said about somebody else. Like, what? You guys are ruled by your emotions, and you know why? It's because your brains are not fully developed. You guys are hanging out in your amygdalas. You can't feel anything but your feels. The moment anything your your beliefs are challenged, not even your beliefs are challenged. I called you guys straight men. Nothing was challenged. Just your being was placed on spotlight, and you guys were like, "Oh no, oh no, we gotta call her out on something. Her glasses. Go for the glasses." Oh God, I'm sorry. This is so much funnier now that I'm saying it out loud. Um, I've totally even lost track of where I was. Yeah, Keemstar was making videos, calling me those, making fun of my glasses. Um, I feel like I'm in the I know too much about Gabby Camp, says one of the producers. What does that mean? Not wearing glasses. Oh yeah. Also, yeah, I already said that I'm not wearing glasses in my profile picture. And hey, tipster, if you change your opinion, if you're here in good faith, just like you were that one time, and you're here to hear me out, then I will stand corrected on any of the things that I'm dogging on you for. But I made a point. Also, embarrassing that some of these people are being timed out. It's like you have to be subscribed to my channel in order to chat. But thank you for subscribing to the channel. Subscribe to my channel, and in 5 minutes you can control the chat. Mods are on standby. They're ready. I swear. Okay, let me see. I know that there were a few super chats that came through, so I want to make sure that I pay attention to you guys. Hey, Sleepless Nights. Saying, I'm getting ready for work, not for sure worth waking up to. Let me try that again. Getting ready for work, for sure worth waking up early. Love you. Yay! Didn't you say that you watch me while you get ready for work, or was that someone else? Because I'm sure that with time zones, that's possibly more than one person, but I'm so happy. Hopefully my energy here, now that I had no idea what kind of energy I was going to come to this BAP with, but now I'm just like entertained to the max. So hopefully this energy can help you start your day. Skip the coffee, you don't need it. Tansy again. Hello, you're so generous, Tansy. If Keemstar doesn't like you, that's a compliment. Yes. Yes, and this is in dead seriousness, and he should not here what the thing I don't understand about people like Keemstar is how you get your feelings hurt. Because you've made a name for yourself as somebody you've said you want to be the villain, you want to bully, you want to harass, you want enemies, it makes the game fun for you. Then you can't get offended if people don't want to be. I don't want to be liked by Keemstar. If Keemstar likes me, I've done something wrong. I'm not saying anything about the people that he does like overtly, but the implication is there, and I'm not denying it. So, yeah, I mean, there are certain people I've noticed that too, because like I'm total like transparency with you guys. I'm noticing that, just kind of as a side note for like running a YouTube channel, just things that I'm learning as I go through the process is that, I've been hanging out just under 50K for a while now, but so much has changed, I think, within my analytics. And so I've noticed, and part of it too, part of the changes I think has a lot to do with like getting help from producers on BAP and getting really organized, updating my socials and my website and all that. I have a website if you didn't know, helloleash.com. Um, but I'm noticing changes, like I'm getting a lot more requests for sponsorships, like really legitimate sponsorships. So I'm really excited about these like employment opportunities coming up. But also I'm noticing like a lot more like hate out of nowhere online. So, you kind of have to learn these things as you go. As of right now, there's not really a handbook that shows you that you can like take on mentors or mentors can take you on. And I've had some really great creators reach out to me and be like, "Hey, I'm here for you." I think I've mentioned before, but namely like Rachel Oates and Petty Page, fantastic, fantastic people. Um, and but otherwise, like there's no like what to expect. So I'm seeing more like sponsorship opportunities, but I'm also seeing more hate online. So but then at the same time, the hate that I'm getting online, there are some people criticizing me who are people who used to watch my videos and enjoy my videos. And it's sad. It's sad that that I am in some ways like letting them down or that they disagree with me. I still value them, especially those that once enjoyed my content. That means then if there is some sort of like rift between like what I'm doing now and what they enjoyed about me, I'm a little more prone to like be open to what they have to say. That's a total tangent, just like I promised you. I do listen to the criticism. I do. I don't have to agree with all of it. I think that's where people get mistaken, is that listening to criticism and taking criticism is not agreeing with criticism. But I'll listen to it, especially if you're coming at me in good faith. 100% coming at me in good faith. And I will say about Tipster, didn't seem like he was being too much of a dick to me. I'm trying to think, because all he said was like facts over feels, or that's all I saw. Nick, I didn't think was too much of a dick at first, but then I saw he said that nobody cares enough about my content or nobody cares enough about me to put me in their content, and yet he's like tweeting about me and they're live streaming about me. So you start to see who the people are that you're getting hate from and who the people are in the space that are starting to dislike you. I think I've caught the attention of Repsion in a negative way. And although, it doesn't feel good to be disliked. I'm not going to be like, it's fun to be disliked. Like, I'm not going to be a Keemstar and be like, I love it. Like, I love being a villain. I hate being liked. No, it's a bad feeling. It is primal in the human being to not like this feeling of being disliked, but at the same time on a cognitive level, because guess what, guys? Listen to my glasses here. I can think on a cognitive level over my feelings. And the thoughts over my feelings are there are certain people that in this space that I don't want to be liked by. And that should be the case for just about every creator, at least in the commentary space. There are certain people whose respect it is a good indicator of where the direction you want to go in. And there are some people where it's like, if Keemstar liked me, oh shit, I'm doing something wrong. But Keemstar I've caught his attention so much so that he's going to go on a tirade on Twitter and make all kinds of videos. Oh, I'm doing something right. And I'm going to take a moment to water gang myself. He's posting screenshots on his Twitter. Fun. I'm not there. Zoe says the thoughts over my feelings is a good way of differentiating the things that you know and the things that you feel. Thank you. And guess what? These guys who are out here, like, first of all, saying that that we're not bringing facts, that these channels that Gabby and them criticize that we're not bringing facts. I could be wrong, and here's what I say in my videos a lot. I could be wrong, but I really doubt that they really understand the history of Gabby's scandals and controversies, which I did a video about at the very beginning of my YouTube career. And guess what? I have made no secret of the fact that I have this big, fat, autistic crush on Gabbie Hanna. And no, it's not a crush, but it is somewhat of probably a hyperfixation on her as a concept. Thank you, Jojo, who kind of like framed that in a way that made sense. Gabby is a concept, not the individual. To you bros out there, if you're paying attention and like you talk to her and you want to make her feel better, let her know that there's nothing about her as a person that I really care about. I mean, like, I hope that she does okay. I hope that she feels better. I hope that things get better for her. I hope she can do her painting thing and all. That's great. Go do that. But the behavior that she displays online presents so many conversations. And then the way people respond to that presents so many conversations that so many of us want to have. And yes, I did use the word autistic. I do think that it is a hyperfixation on the concept of this person that brings up a lot of conversations. And honestly, guys who like her, you guys can probably make the same argument and perhaps have positive spins on those conversations. But it's the fact that I'm critical, even though I do give her the benefit of the doubt where I think it's fair, because I'm critical, is that's when it's a problem. Right? That's when it's a problem. So, yes, I did say, I said autistic crush is in sort of a nod to Mean Girls, but not in a bad way. No, I'm very excited at the prospect that that I may have an autism diagnosis on the horizon. It's become less and less of a secret to my audience, and it has explained things more and more, and may explain a lot to do with why I find Gabby Hanna to be so fascinating, as, like I said, as a concept, not as a person. And that really should inform a lot, because lovingly, somebody I adore did point out, I don't know if there was a distinction there, but somebody did point out they thought that I thought that Gabby should watch my videos and take my criticism. And I was just like, oh no. I never thought that Gabby like was watching my videos or should watch my videos or should listen to my criticism. No, this isn't for her. These conversations are not for her at all. These conversations are for each other, for us, for just those of us who like to sit around and talk about like this drama that's popping up and what the implications are for human behavior and how we interact with one another. It's a really fascinating thing, and she gives us content for days and days and days and days. I would love for this drama to be spread out amongst a number of different creators, but it just keeps coming up with this one person. And I'm not going to shy away from the conversations, because those are the conversations that I want to have. And that's why I started my YouTube channel. Some of these people started a YouTube channel because they heard it was a way to make money. That's not why I started mine. I started mine because I wanted to have these conversations, and I'm allowed to have whatever conversations I want. It's my channel. If you don't like it, you can leave, just like I leave the channels that I don't like. So, I don't even remember where I started that. I was kind of laughing at the same thing. I didn't want to say, and I didn't want to mispronounce perhaps your name, Katie. I don't know if I was mispronouncing it or if I was going to mispronounce it, because I didn't say it at all. But I did think it was funny that you pointed out that like I made the reference to a big autistic crush when it was a Mean Girls reference, and your name is spelled the same as Katie. Katie Heron, that's her last name, right? I hope nobody's offended, and I hope you guys realize that like that was a tongue-in-cheek way of me saying that like I think this is a thing I have, and I think that this thing is affecting like what I find interesting, and not just Gabby Hanna, but really, really like picking apart and analyzing why people do what they do. And it fascinates me to no end. It's what I think about constantly. So it's a lot of fun. And yeah, it's not, in no way derogatory. In no way. Like I said, I am stoked at the probability that I will have this diagnosis. I'm really excited about it. It is something that I find that I hold in high regard. So, you fudge with me, Leash. Thank you, George. Okay, let me check out. I see some super chats are coming through, and I see you guys. Oh, thank you, producer Amber, for the note. Daisy Co. Hi, Daisy. Daisy says, "Don't worry, I'm here to." I don't know if I'm here to hate. I'm here to hate on Nick Diorio. Love you loads. Hope your channel thrives under the Keemstar siege. Thank you. I'm not worried about the siege. Don't worry. I dealt with this last year and it taught me a lot. No, you guys can leave that message from yeah, the red message. That's fine. Alistair says, if I was a drama channel, I would tell Gabby to shove it where the sun doesn't shine. Rather invite her on my channel. Fair. Miss Tanisha, another 140 Canadian. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. As a POC, I want to say you are so right to speak your language. Thank you. Really hope this money helps. Thank you. That's well for the money and for that message. It's really difficult kind of existing as I do. Not difficult. Like I'm fine. But when dealing with matters like POC matters, it's really difficult because I look the way I do, which I would take a poll or something, but like probably to like 90% of people that talk to me just see me as a white girl. Maybe even not that much, because I do hear people say like, I'm trying to figure out like, any person of color has heard the what are you? So I've heard people like assume that I'm Israeli. I've had people assume that I am Hawaiian because I've lived in Hawaii. But some people can pick up on the fact that I'm not just white, but even more than that. And to some people, this doesn't matter. Thankfully, I think the language or the conversation around this is changing a little bit. But about a year ago, it was just kind of like, well, if you look white, you're white, and there's nothing else but to your experience but whiteness. And so you can't talk, you can't engage in this conversation. When in fact, there's a lot more nuance to a lot of our experiences. And sometimes I think about, so I don't know how many people here love the show This Is Us. I absolutely adore it. I have not caught up in way too long for some reason, just I guess sidetracked by other shows. But one of the but like everybody, in their favorite shows, they have the character that they relate to the most. For me, it's Randall. And Randall is a Black guy who grew up in a family of all white people. And the way they describe his experience is different from mine in terms of growing up. Of course, this character was far more acutely aware of how different he was from his family, because it was also how different he was to the people he was going to school with and all of that. But for me, I grew up in this family that was it's not like my mom's side is white and my mom's side is Mexican and my dad's side is white. And so it's just like I'm living this like half white, half Mexican experience. No, my mom is Mexican. My dad, who adopted me when I was a baby, is Black and Korean. And I've met my Korean grandmother a couple of times, but I don't know anybody on that side of the family. So my dad's entire family that I've ever known is Black. So my family is Mexican and Black. And then there's me. I'm just the one little white girl in the family. The only one too, by the way. And so like I have to acknowledge my experience walking this earth as a white person, reaping all the privilege of a white person. I don't want to get too dark because I will start crying, and this is not the time. This is not the day. But I think about statistics and how like men of color are not as likely to get sober and succeed in addiction recovery, whereas white people are. And here I am, 9 years sober on October 3rd. Another Mean Girls reference. Don't congratulate me too soon for 9 years. I don't ask for congratulations until after I've actually hit that number. But you guys can congratulate me on 9 years minus 1 month if you want. But I am here and he is not. So, and then also thinking back too on things like what was happening around 9/11, and living here in the deep South is where we were when it happened. Having my siblings younger than me coming home from school crying. My sister, my baby sister, she was like, I was probably like 15, so she was like 5, like kindergarten. And so she was coming home and crying because kids at school were calling her Indian girl. My brothers, they were like in middle school around that time. They were being called Osama bin Laden. Like, I have had these experiences where it's like not personally I'm dealing with the same things that they have, but also I'm not removed from these experiences and these worries, and like watching the people that you love die, watching the people that you love be bullied for the color of their skin, stuff like that. So it's I just went on an entirely like really long and serious tangent, but one of the things that not the world, but for some reason social media did to me when I started to gain a platform was really trying to whitewash me and tell me not like not allowing me to even acknowledge my Mexicanness. And because there was this one really just horrible person, like Amberin, if you get her talking about this person, Amberin will just go off, which is kind of fun to watch. But this person who was just like, you look white, you're white, and that's all there is to it. And it's like, well, then how disrespectful is that to the parents who raised me? And especially to the mother whose DNA I'm carrying and who raised me. So I happy to speak a little what little Spanish I know to Tipster in calling him. And I wasn't rude. I called him hermano, my Hispanic brethren. Um, so on that note, Tipster did send a super chat. Thank you for that, Tipster. But also, sorry, thank you, Tanisha, again for kind of encouraging me to speak my language. You'll so leave. Tipster did say, when did I say only men can focus on facts? Receipts, please. I'm not going to play semantics with you. This is not aimed at you, but just kind of as a figure of speech. Like somebody said, get out of your own effing C word if you care that much about semantics. I said, why do straight white men get a pass? Yes, we've acknowledged I didn't know that you weren't white, but your response was because we, right? These straight white men or straight men care about facts over feels, right? So that distinction there was straight white men or straight men versus other people. And that is where that qualifier lies, and that is where your receipt is. So on to Tansy again. You're so nice, Tansy. Just because. Thank you, Tansy. So sweet. Cassidy Neurotica says, I love you and Nick. Nick who? You should give his content a look. Which Nick? There are lots of Nicks. That's why I'm curious. Of course, I was talking about Nick Snyder before. I love Nick DiRamio. Oh my gosh. I think I've said something like, in a post Jenna Marbles world with Nick DiRamio and Bailey Sarian, I think I'm going to be okay. But please tell me which Nick you're referring to. You paid money to let me know that. Alistair says, I don't understand why anyone would take Gabby's side or even Keemstar or anyone who has been exposed this last year, but people are letting them off. Why? I don't know either. My friends are friends. I guess if they've developed these like friendships, then you're going to be blinded by some things. Like I'm not ignorant to the fact that the people who I'm closer to online are going to see more positive in my behavior than negative, right? Like the people who are totally neutral, who come in and don't know me at all, they're going to have all kinds of different reactions to me as a person. Some people think that I'm like this nice, prim, proper girl. Some people think I'm too brash, too outspoken. Some people think I'm just fine. Some people think I'm a stupid effing bee who wears glasses to convince people that I'm smart. And some people think that I'm just like way too nice and way too boring. It's all over the place. So, somebody named the Sandwich Man. Oh, so yeah, Alistair, like the simple answer to your question is I don't know. Like why? Here's what I answer your question with a question. Why is it that these people like Gabby and Keem, it's one thing if you're going to play the villain, right? Like, oh, I love to bully. I love to harass. I don't give a fuck. I'm just trolling. I know how to trend. I know how to piss people off. I like to make enemies. Like, if you're going to play that, fine. But then these are the people that go and get all kinds of butt hurt when anybody says anything about them. Again, I said straight white man. And Keemstar loses his shit. tell me how fragile you are without telling me how fragile you are. And then also, like, speaking of fragile, like, to some extent I have like some compassion for this, but Gabbie Hanna, my God, like, you cannot hold your feelings together for long enough to finish your sentence where you're pretending to be the villain in the beginning and then you need to be coddled in the end of that same sentence. Like, I need some consistency here. Like, I am, I think, a normal mix of a human being, to where I believe in morals and ethics, and of course, like, most people think that they do. But I do have a standard of morals and ethics, and it's not the same as yours. It's not the same as the next person's. But I try my best to hold myself to the same standard that I do other people. You can't be like, I'm the villain, I'm the asshole, I love having enemies, I love making people mad. It's so funny to me to get a rise out of people, but then somebody says something, anything about you, and it gets the biggest rise out of you, and you get to just like cry and call everybody an asshole or a stupid effing bee, or, you know, exploitative bullies. Like, doesn't make any damn sense, does it? Does it? The Sandwich Man says, please expose Bo Blacks. He promotes scam cologne companies. I don't know how true that is. So, allegedly. I'm not gonna say anything. I don't know that. I don't know that guy. Tipster, that is not one hell of a stretch. It's really not. It's not. I will make it simple. I said, why do straight white men get a pass? You said, because we present facts, not feels. That's it. I said, why? You gave me a reason why. Where's the stretch? Are you saying that I present facts? Because that's not what that response says. You are saying the implication. It's not a stretch, babe. It's not a stretch. There is a strong implication there that you present facts while other people present feels. You present facts, other people present feels. You, in the camp of straight men, present facts. Others, those in the camp of gay men, non-binary people, women, those people present feels, right? It's an if or, this, that. It's not a stretch. You're paying me money to argue with me. Go to Twitter and do it for free like everyone else. Or, I mean, keep. It's fine. I don't have a problem responding to you. Thanks for subscribing. Hey, Lee. Lee says, thank you for speaking up. A lot of us get hell for having an opinion. The subtle sexism, racism, sexism is exhausting. It is. It's and it's a delicate balance, because you don't want people to hide behind all kinds of shields. We saw that happening with mental health a lot, and now people are calling that out. And I'm afraid that there's going to be a huge overcorrection to where, well, there is an overcorrection happening, and guess who's doing it? Keemstar. There's this overcorrection happening where people don't want to use mental health as shields, and so they're just like totally making fun of mental health. Meanwhile, you're best friends with the person who uses mental health as a shield for everything. And I'm afraid that the same thing might be happening with racism, sexism. I hope not. But I am noticing that, like, when you even bring these things up in a very reasonable fashion, people will argue with you. They will say things that are either overtly or subtly misogynistic, and then tell you that you're stretching if you read it as such. And please, to the person who said we present facts over feels and that's why straight men get a pass, then clarify. That's all you got to do. Just like Gabby says, why can't you just admit that you were wrong and say you're sorry? Because there's no other way to read that. Clarify then. Let's see. Carrie says, I appreciate you speaking out against people like Keem, and I generally love and appreciate you. P.S. This is a PSA for the chat to join Leisha's Patreon. Thank you. Yes. And surely we'll talk some more about this on Patreon. Even the haters, the haters are there too. So, yeah, but it's a really awesome place, but do expect it to go through an overhaul in the next month or so. We're going to see different tiers, different options. So it's hopefully going to be better for everybody, because you'll have like, I just want Discord access, so we pay less for that. Or I want to have all these clubs, and now we'll have all these, other options for you. Matt's in the chat. Hey, Matt. Matt said a couple things. I've never seen those glasses. They must be fake. What? That's funny because I got all these other glasses since I went to the eye doctor. And today was the first day that I kept wearing my old glasses and it went with the outfit. So I was like, let's do it. Fuck it. Plus, these are classics. And, I got made fun of. Also, the other thing, too, that was funny is that, there was a remark made about me wearing glasses to look smart. And I told you guys, I think maybe last week or the week before, the reason that I wear black thick rim glasses started because I was an honors nerd in high school whose family did not have money to shop at the cool kid stores, nor did my parents have any desire to have me looking like a cool kid. And so I had to get all kinds of creative with if I was going to be expressive at all in the way that I dressed. And so what I did, like I told you guys before, is I went to the clearance section of the PX to look at the glasses they had there. And I picked out the chunkiest black, thick rim glasses. Like I said, just like the guys from Weezer. And I got those. And that's what I wore while Keemstar was busy getting arrested for arson. I was in calculus and picking thick rim glasses. Just fucking take me to Sioux Court over it. Matt also said, I focus on the positive. There will now be a sound bite of Keem saying, I'm going to be sucking some tea. I don't know what the reference is, but you got to love people taking these sound bites out of context. I'm hoping that was out of context. Lee says, just FYI, Petty Page has spoken about the same thing. She was dragged. I believe it. I feel like she and I have some similar takes. So I'm here for her when she gets dragged because I know the feeling of like having a legitimate feeling about something and then just people like taking that out of context or just focusing on one thing that you said but she handles herself with such grace. But also when I say grace, that is to include her don't give a fuck attitude, and I love it. Audie, I feel like I haven't talked to you in too long. Audie says, just my BAP weekly. I love you. I love you too so much. Meeks, you're still here? Meeks says, live stream cleanse. Sparkle. Oso says, hi. Also, I love you. I love you too. And say hi to Oso. I love that name for a dog. And for those of you who don't speak Spanish, Oso means bear. Simply Monica says, so funny that you need to explain because it's rudimentary. They just don't want to hear it. Anyone with mental faculties gets the sentiment. I wonder if you're talking about what I think you're talking about, but yeah, don't talk to me like I'm an idiot because I will read you for filth. I will. And I don't mean to sit here and sound like I'm just like some mean girl, but don't condescend me. Don't come to my chat and then have me prove my point. And then when I do, just be like, okay. Like, no, don't talk to me like I'm stupid because I'm wearing my glasses and that lets you know that I'm not. Please. Where was I? Oh my God, I haven't even gotten to any of the emails and tweets. So we were talking about like why. Let's go back. Let's get away from the commentary bros and their like overreaction to me calling them straight men. There's just like every time I think about it, I'm just like, that's what upset them. That's what upset them. I said straight men get a pass. Why? They could have even said we don't. You could have said we don't. So you could have said we don't. But the people that Gabby's friends with, we like research. It's coincidence that we are straight men. You could have said that. You could have said that, bros. You could have said that, but you didn't. You said straight men, this. Everybody else, that. Let me read this one last super chat before I move on. I saw one come through right here. My spreadsheet isn't as quick as this. But Alistair says, we do or say something crappy, we should be called out, no matter gender, race, or sexuality of the person. I expected if it was me. And I like that about you. I think we should all be open to it, right? It's never fun. I say this a lot. It's never fun to be called out or criticized. Hey, I just checked the chat. We're at 555. We love synchronicity here. That's a good sign. It's never, I do want to take this moment before I read the the messages because, like, I love to give y'all a little like talk here and there. But I've said this before, but I want to reiterate, criticism is really important. Criticism is never fun to receive. It isn't. It never is. Just like when we were kids, we got in trouble. It wasn't fun, but it shaped our behavior. It's very clear on the internet that some people did not receive discipline as children. Um, what's the answer to that? I don't know. I don't plan to have children. And that's not a slight at the people who are raising kids right now. I'm just saying that there are just some people who just, and it's not a slight at parents. I know people are like, oh, you're bringing the parents into it, parenting, blah, blah, blah. No, it's just apparent to me when I deal with some people online that I'm like, I grew up being afraid of like the law, right? Being afraid of breaking the law. And some of these people grew up like being taught that they're like protected from anything, from they can engage in criminal activity and they're going to be protected. And so like, that's just something it blows my mind. Criticism though, and being called out, to Alistair's point, it's really important. I want people to do it to me, not in that it feels good, because it doesn't, but that I need it. And you can do so to differing degrees of respect. There's being nice about it. Then there's being an asshole about it. There's being respectfully neutral but critical about it. I think as long as people are not being assholes about it, you've got to listen. You don't have to agree. And that's the other thing too. Oh, you can't take criticism because you don't know. You don't have to agree. But one thing that I've noticed is that if I'm starting to hear a lot of people, especially those who are like being respectful and well-meaning people, if I'm hearing multiple people say the same thing, then that's an indicator that truly is something that I need to pay attention to. Truly. And I don't understand why that's such a difficult concept for some people. Like, there are people out there that are getting the same criticism from various people presented in very respectful ways, and they're just like, fuck you, blocked. First person who comes to mind is Jimmy Snow. I don't want to dog too hard on him because I know that he was having a hard time the last time he was online. But I do think he's important to bring up because he's just another example of a straight white man that Gabby Hanna went and kind of went to bat for, or befriended, and even to the detriment of one of his other friends. So it's just so sad. But yeah, you take the criticism. It's a punch. It's always a punch. People call you a stupid effing bee. It's a punch. Like I said, there's a primal feeling every time that you are criticized, made fun of, etc. Anything along those lines, it always hurts. If I am, griping into the camera and I'm talking to you, there's probably a punch to the gut involved in that. Or maybe I'm just different from everyone. But again, you can use your higher thinking to say, okay, that sucked, but I do need to listen to what was being said. That way I can implement it and make myself a better person, or at the very least, a more informed person. Like, you might not agree that you need to implement these things right away, but at least that people are saying these things, so you can keep an eye on like, hey, do I do that thing? Like, let's pay attention to that a little bit more. So yes, being called out is an important thing. Let's see, there were a couple more I'll read. Cosmos, hey Cosmos, says, our community has a foundation of being willing and able to give constructive criticism, and it is welcomed by all of us. Much love to you all. Yes. And on that same note, please don't join the Patreon if you're not into that. Like, we're not all sitting around being like, here's what I think you need to work on. Like, I'm not for that game. That's not fun. But if there are areas for growth and it's very apparent, or like sometimes people just fuck up. Like, I've done it a lot of times where I say something and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that was offensive, what I just said. And people will, like, when you're in a good group of people, they will inform you by just being matter of fact and respectful about it without coddling you or without being an asshole about it. That's what happens in my Patreon, and I'm so proud of it. Thank you, Cosmos. Um, L. Maldonado says, I think being POCs also plays a role. Most of the people around me feel higher pressure to be law abiding citizens because of harsher consequences. Interesting. And I wonder if my upbringing had anything to do with that. But I will say that I grew up also in a military household. So there's just a really hearty respect for authority. And also, I meant to note too, growing up in a military environment, what I will say, what I love about that is that even though you're kind of moving around all over the place, you are growing up, at least from what I remember, you grow up in these spaces of where like everybody's on the same playing field because everybody, like all your parents are making the same amount of money. You're living in the same houses, I'm particularly talking about like, when your family friends are of the same ranking and you have the same military housing, you go to the same schools. And then the kids that you are friends with, they're all different colors, all different races, um, just all different types of people. And so that allowed me to grow up in a space where I'm not going to be like, I didn't see color. We don't see color. Like in my family, we don't even like that thinking. We don't like when people say that. But it's not something that I was acutely aware of. In fact, it took, sorry if you were not here for this, if you're not here to have this conversation, but it is something that's interesting to me. And it is something I brought up earlier. But I didn't realize that I'm different from my family until my 7th birthday when my dad decided to have a talk with me about how he adopted me. And even after that, I still went through my childhood. This kind of going back to where I was like comparing myself to Randall, who I said was acutely aware of the fact that he was different. He was different from his family. He was different from the people he went to school with. I still had the privilege of being able to go through my childhood until I got to Georgia in high school. Ugh, forget that. I was in California before that. I was in Monterey, California, where you couldn't tell anybody's ethnicity. But yeah, at least in Seaside, California. But I had the privilege of being around all different types of people, and so there wasn't really that feeling of like being out of place, even though I was kind of like quote unquote out of place in my own family. So I don't know if that's interesting to anyone. I just thought I'd point it out. Let me get to some emails and tweets because I know there were a bunch. So, email from Cecily Dorsey on the topic of Gabbie Hanna and white men. And I do think that there are more than one reasons to this question of why does she give them a pass? I think there's more than one answer. But I saw some of the responses, and I'm pretty sure that I did not save any of the responses in my Instagram questions, but there might be some in the notifications. I will say, because I don't see them now, but I will say that I saw various responses along the lines of, some that were as harsh. So sorry. I also am receiving a note that Jimmy Snow is pan. So I do want to recognize that. In this case, I'm talking about a white male. So I don't want to disrespect that aspect of him by calling him straight. Some of the reasons that I saw while scrolling through my Instagram responses, some people were saying things like, of course, like internalized misogyny. That's something that we hear a lot about. And I've learned some things about Gabby Hanna and some situations that we talked about that like sicken me, that I cannot share, but really like so drives home the point that there is so like disturbing amounts of internalized misogyny that like I'm so sorry, tipster, I'm pretty sure you don't know about. I wish I could share it with you, but it's so sensitive that I don't think the people who know about it ever will say it. So, but if I ever talk to Gabby again, maybe she and I will talk. So there was that answer, which I think is very much it's very much apparent that that's still there, and it's okay to have that. and to be working through it, but recognize that you have it. We all have it. I have some internalized misogyny in me. Of course I do. I grew up in the 90s in a relatively in conservative areas, Christian areas. And while I don't denounce Christianity as a whole, like there very much are some very misogynistic outlooks that take a lot of time to unlearn. And I don't know that we ever completely unlearn them. But the fact that like, if you can't recognize that, if you just deny, you'll never get better at it. You'll never unlearn those things. The other things that I saw were she's a pick-me girl, which like it's not fun to hear, I'm sure. So again, I don't want Gabby Hanna necessarily to hear this. If she does, she does. That's fine. Going back to the whole conversation she and I had, that's fine if she hears what I have to say. I don't expect her to. I expect that if she heard this, it would hurt her feelings. But it's also like it is respectful criticism. But, to give off pick me energy when you call dibs on every guy that you come around, when you're out with your friends, when you are trying to have sex with your ex-best friend's ex-boyfriend, and then you make that friend, then you cry to that friend. I think that was in this clip that I cut off short, crying to that ex-best friend whose ex-boyfriend you tried to sleep with, and saying that you're the one who deserves sympathy because you needed that for your self-esteem. Like, it's very apparent that you need the sexual approval. It's not even just approval in general, but like very sexual desire of men in order to feel good about yourself. And this is something that we've just seen so much of. And then of course that's broadened to her making comments about like being able to fuck all of our parents and all that. So I'm sorry, but there's no getting around that without saying like that is pick me energy. And I think she's admitted somewhat to being like that, I'm not like other girls kind of vibe, or maybe it's just that strong that I think she's admitted to it. But there are people that are saying that is the kind of energy she gives off. And so it's, of course, like, there are certain tropes that go along with that kind of personality, right? Like the pick me girl personality also is the kind of person that's like, all my friends are guys because girls are drama. Okay, merch idea. Girls are tabloids. I think we need that on a t-shirt. Girls are tabloids. Yeah. So that was a lot of what I saw. I think another one, and this is literally what I said in my email you're about to read. Well, I just want to make sure that I'm getting out not only my thoughts, but what I saw on Instagram, because I forgot to save those before they disappeared. And then the other thing too is just some people were saying like, whoever is going to white knight for her, she's going to latch on to. And that makes sense too. And honestly, on just kind of a primal level, that makes sense for anyone. Like if you are in a state where you are just so hated, and to some extent, this is me giving Gabby the benefit of the doubt, saying like just about anyone would do this. If you're in a state where like you have no friends, Keemstar went on his podcast and said Gabby Hanna has no friends. Creepshow Art went into some voice memos, said Gabby Hanna has no friends. We have seen from her videos, Gabby Hanna does not appear to have any friends. And not only that, but she knows, and we know, that she is very much a disliked person on the internet. I'm not going to coddle her for that. If for any stans that are here disliking my videos and like getting ready to go off on Twitter or whatever, she doesn't deserve to be coddled because she's disliked. If she's disliked for a reason, she deserves to be called out for those reasons, just like a few of us said we all need to be called out for our bad behavior. But regardless, if you are existing on the internet as one of the most hated people, then when you do have people that come along and are just like, hey, we got your back, then it makes sense that you'd kind of like latch on to those people, right? I question the motives of the people who are white knighting for her. Why are you doing this? Why all of a sudden? If the public is telling you, like, we actually have the facts and we actually have been documenting this person's behavior, the facts are there. The receipts are there. These aren't feels. People aren't going in front of the camera and saying, well, I feel like Gabbie Hanna is mean and I feel like she probably is an R-word apologist and I feel sad when I hear her talk because I just feel a lot of feelings. That's not happening. People are reporting on her behavior. They're showing the receipts. They're talking about what she's done. They're talking about the effect it has on other people and particularly certain communities. People are bringing facts. There are plenty of videos out there with facts about Gabbie Hanna that I would venture to say were existing and that my audience probably knew about well before these guys even knew who Gabbie Hanna was. Maybe not every single, I'm sure one of them knew who she was, but like this whole movement of them coming to her rescue happened, what, this year? And they're going to try to act like they have all the facts? No, you don't. In fact, I didn't pay attention to Edwin's live stream. He did lovingly DM me to let me know that he was going to go live and I could call in if I wanted to. But didn't he go into that saying like, well, I don't really know much about the situation? Like, okay, then what is it all about? What is this story about? We're coming to this with facts, not feels. But then again, admittedly, Edwin did say he was there to unleash his feels. So let's see. So now let's go ahead and read Cecily's email. Girls, gays, and theys are tabloids. I like that. That's so good. Sorry, I'm so okay, but go for the glasses as a glasses case decal. Email from Cecily says, Cecily believes Gabby has a need to be around people she thinks want to F her. Jesse's ex, Keem, Faze Banks. She also seems to crave the same privilege a straight white man has to behave like she's behaving without backlash. Cecily doesn't agree with 99% of what Gabby says, but thinks she's right that the quote unquote drama would look very different if she were a guy. We see examples of men doing horrible things while maintaining large platforms, Keem, Rogan, Trump, etc., all the time. So Gabby may be attempting to access their privilege while feeling desired. It's for sure you can be a desirable woman while going for the things that men have. Right. In fact, I think that to a lot of men, those that are not threatened by women who are powerful definitely are even more attracted to women like that. But I don't see it happening for her. Like, I don't see the means matching the outcome. So this whole, like, acting cool and like I'm so sexy and I'm not like other girls is not, you're constantly keeping yourself as like that object that I'm not one to talk like this, but we have to in this conversation. But like the patriarchy, right, wants to see women as these like second-class citizens that are objects. And the men that I'm talking about in this video are like cringing right now because they so hate these kinds of conversations. You know why? Because it dismantles their standing. So we have to say it. The patriarchy wants to keep women as lesser than and objects. And so if you assume that position and you act like that, I'm not saying don't be sexy. Like, I'm sitting here with my tits out. Like, I'm not saying don't be sexy. I'm just saying, like, don't put all of your worth into appealing to a man's sexual desires. And this is all, now I'm speaking kind of generally. Do I think Gabbie Hanna does this? Yes. Do I think other people see it? Yes. And so like, you're not going to be able to assume that same amount of power if you are putting yourself in that position to where you're just like, I'm just this little thing that needs to be saved and I'm sexy by the way, and I'll give you attention if you'll come fight for me on the internet. Because, by the way, Gabby, after like, I would have believed that Gabby was not keeping up with anything that I say about her prior to those videos that Keemstar put on Twitter. So you can blame Keem for blowing your cover, Gabby, because now I know you're aware of what I'm saying about you online. Producer Leaf. I feel like you should say awooga because you mentioned the boobs. Daria Munoz, I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. Daria says, Gabby gives these men a pass because she wants to be the cool girl that can hang and talk shit about other women with them. Daria thinks that in Gabby's eyes, as long as she's laughing with them, they won't treat her the way they treat other women in the public eye. Absolutely. And talk about facts. We keep talking about facts, right? Bring the receipts. Well, I did in my last video, and then, like I said, it's a two-parter, so more will come. But Gabby Hanna very much will say one thing to these guys that is very much the opposite of something that she's said outside of the conversation with these guys. You want to talk about receipts? I could show you the clips, but like I've already done that work in my last video. But you want receipts? I have a clip of Gabby Hanna agreeing with FaZe Banks saying, a friend is somebody who's going to call you on your shit. They're going to talk shit about you to your face, and they'll have your back when you're not there. And then juxtaposed to the clip of Gabby not even a year ago on her podcast saying that if your friends don't make you feel like the coolest person on earth at all times, those are not friends. So yes, to Daria's point, yes, she is going to laugh along with them and say the things that they want to hear and agree with the things that they're saying, even if she doesn't believe those things to gain approval, allegedly. Email from Jazz. Jazz says, it's funny Gabby has such disdain for T channels while being chummy with the biggest of them all, Keem. Keem keeps trying to say he's not a drama channel despite being named Drama Alert. And not only that, but like I pointed out in his podcast saying that like the podcast description says that they spill tea. Huh? You're not a drama channel? You're not a T channel? Okay. And being most guilty of spreading misinformation and false accusations. The way he speaks about drama channels is dripping in misogyny, emotions versus facts and logic. The commentary bros are also guilty of so much racism and ableism, despite Gabby denouncing her racist past and wanting to destigmatize mental health conditions. Gabby's stance say they don't agree with everything the bros say, but appreciate their defense of Gabby, which says they don't care about racism, ableism, and sexism as long as they defend Gabby. I mean, yeah, I want to give credit where credit's due, and it's really hard to do for the stand. So if I'm going to say, like, as long as if they're denouncing that part, good. But at the same time, like I've said before, and I don't want to rag on them when this is not what it's about. But if their number one is their love for Gabby, then that is going to trump their values towards, or their values and principles and views towards racism and ableism and things like that. So unfortunately, I mean, you're the company you keep. When it comes down to it, you are. So let's see. Meegs on Twitter says, because they're straight white men who white knight for women who are not like other girls, they're protecting the very thing that gets her views and keeps her popular. Women with internalized misogyny seek out misogynists. Yeah, it's pretty simple. One of the producers said, I love Meek so much. Agreed. Yeah, I mean, it's not, we love here to sit around here and like analyze the shit out of things and like really get really analytical and critical and all that. But women with internalized misogyny seek out misogynists. Done. Elurka, I hope I pronounced that right, on Twitter says, it's simple, really. Internalized misogyny and homophobia. There you go. Witchy Writer says that because unlike T channels, Nick Augie and Bo Black's content is organized and based on facts, not slander and feelings. Unlike T channels, Nick, Augie, and Bo Black's content is organized and based on facts, not slander and feelings. Again, if that's what they value, then great. And I understand, producer. And I did tell my producers, by the way, that I do want to see a well-rounded collection of thoughts. I think that's great if that is something that they value, if they are like very much about facts. They really need to rebrand, I think, because kind of like sitting around and dogging on people and laughing at them and making fun of them, making fun of people, like, and when I say making fun of them, I mean again, the company you keep, laughing at this, laughing at that, laughing at really distasteful jokes that upset people, and then being like, I was just in the live, I wasn't partaking in that, you can't get mad at me, you're blah, blah, whatever. Or like, heralding Keemstar, who's making, I had bad takes on mental health, and then isn't in the present day saying things about like, my enemy's taking antidepressant medication, stay mad and fat, like, only ugly women, only ugly gross girls care about my relationship status, none of the attractive ones do. Like, this is all social issues and just human rights issues that your friends, the people you're endorsing publicly, are violating. So sure, you can bring facts to the table, but what are you standing for? And like, I don't know. What is the basis for saying that slander and feelings are what other channels are bringing? Like, give me examples, because I know that's not what I do. Trust me, Gabby would threaten me with a lawsuit right away if that's what I were doing, but I'm not. So, and the channels that I watch, I look out for that stuff too. Is this slander? How much of this is feelings based? I've even talked about that before Creepshow Art was canceled. Do you remember I pointed out that like what I don't like about some commentary channels, which by the way, guess who she was friends with at the time? Gabbie Hanna. And I said that I don't like when commentary channels present an opinion or a speculation as fact. I said that, boys, before you did. I said that. And the example that I gave was that Creepshow Art made a video and titled it something like H3 and Trisha Paytas faked drama for views. This was before Frenemy started. It was just when Trisha went on the H3 podcast to do the Bachelorette. And I didn't like that because I don't do it in my videos. If I'm speculating, I tell you I'm speculating. If it's just an opinion, I tell you it's just an opinion. Otherwise, if it's fact and if it's an opinion, I back it up. So this argument that it's like, okay, you can say that that's what you stand for. That's great. But don't hold yourself on some moral high ground unless you have something to back up what you're saying. Well, facts over feelings. Okay, then who is just bringing feelings to the table? We didn't say that it was just men. Okay, then who? Because my argument was why men? Which I know that's like funny because a lot of people are just like, yeah, that's my question too. Why men? Like, my question was not why Augie, Nick, and Bo Blacks. I didn't say that. I said, why straight white men? And then broaden that to include Tipster. Why straight men? And the response was not Nick, Augie, and Bo Blacks, like this person, witchy writer, totally like valid. The Nick, Augie, and Bo Blacks content organized based on facts, that's fine. But to the people who are saying straight white men or straight men, they bring facts, not feels. Dude, like, amend what you said. Don't put it on other people for reading it exactly for what it was. Sorry, I'm getting a little spicy. A little too spicy. Maybe we'll check out super chats. Cassidy Neurotica says you should live debate Nicholas Diorio, please. That's I'm flattered that you would want to see that. I don't want to have one-on-one conversations with these people. They're just they're bad juju. Like, again, why I wasn't going to call in and trust me, like, as poorly informed as that live stream was, from what I heard anyway, that Edwin did, like, I could have called in and really laid out the facts. You want facts? I've got an obsession with Gabbie Hanna, remember? So I can remember the facts, and I can tell you what the facts are. But do I want to have a conversation with these people, especially guys who are just going to call women stupid effing bees, and their fans will say things to my best friend like, "Oh, you choke on my whatever." Like, no, I don't. Like, give me somebody who is as respectful and decent as me, who I thought Edwin might have been. Maybe I'll talk to that person. Nick, no. Plus, I'm not relevant enough or something for him to even care to bring me in his content. And honestly, to that note, by the way, where he's like, nobody cares about you enough to bring you into their content, you shouldn't care that much about what I have to say. It's not true that nobody cares enough about me and my content or whatever to include me in theirs. That's not true, because I'm sitting at a little under 50K subscribers. So it's a small channel, but it's substantial enough to where there are people who care. There are people here in this live stream. We have almost 600 people. So there are people who care about what I have to say. But considering the platform that these guys collectively have, especially writing on the back, on the coattails of Keemstar with his, like 5 million on Drama Alert, something like that. And then Gabby Hanna, who used to be at 6.18, but is now like hanging around 5 million. Like, you're talking about people with millions of followers, and then their friends with whatever their collective, they probably each have like, a few 100,000, I imagine. You shouldn't care what I'm saying. But yet, Nick, you're tweeting about me. What the fuck does that say? I agree. You shouldn't care, but you do. So you lied. Alistair says, as a straight man, I would never go near Gabby unless you paid $7 billion in cash. I love that you gave us your number, $7 billion in cash. It has to be in cash. Are we looking at some tax evasion opportunities there, Alistair? I'm just kidding. That's fun. I love that you quantified that for us. Exactly. Wreck Yourself says, Gabby is a perfect example of someone who was majorly bullied in high school and is doing everything in their power to not appear to be that now. I respect that. I don't think that I believe that. I think she tells us that. But in fact, I don't remember where it was, but there was somebody, you got to take this for a grain of salt. When somebody comes into comments and they're like, I used to know this person, blah, blah, blah. Just like somebody said to me, that thing about Jesse that I told Gabby and Gabby read in the live stream, you have to take it all with a grain of salt, what people say on the internet. But somebody did come into somebody's comments and they talked about how it's like, no, I went to school with Gabby and she was actually one of the popular kids, one of the mean girls. And I don't, like, it's really hard to say because everybody has a different perspective on what their social standing was, I think. And of course, like, different definitions of bullies. If you're just somebody who like was mean to people and so you got into a lot of fights and people were mean back to you, and that's just the culture of either where you went to school or who you associated with, then you might just be like, yeah, I was bullied, when in fact, like, you were engaging in maybe some mutual stuff. I get the vibe that she was a mean girl. I get the vibe that I don't get the vibe that she was just bullied and uncool. I don't, and I can't say that for a fact. I didn't know her, but I don't get that vibe. I think that it's funny because, like I said, totally respect what you're saying, and it's just as valid as what I suspect. But I imagine that it's the other way around. I imagine that she was one of the mean popular girls, and she's trying so hard to act like that's not who I really am. That's who I became for a little bit. And she has kind of said that. She was like, well, instead of saying I took on the traits of my mother and then behaved in the same ways as my mother, she said, I sought out people like my mother, and then they taught me how to be. And so she did say at one point that, like, being mean was all she knew how to be. She wasn't specific about the timeline of like when this happened, but it implied that it was as early as high school or as late as her like Vine and YouTube days. And then saying like, but that's not me. And like backing away from that and being like, that's not me. I'm not comfortable being that person. So she has like in a way admitted to being a mean girl and a bully, but just like is trying to pretend that's not who she is at the core. Like I can tell you that like at the core, I wasn't bullied in school, but I was a nerd and a dork. I was an honors nerd. Like I said, had to shop at the clearance section at the PX. Was not even allowed to be cool. If it's possible for your parents to prevent that, my parents prevented that. I wasn't allowed to date. Wasn't cute enough for anybody to want to date anyway. Didn't matter. All I was allowed to do was school, and that was it. So I wasn't bullied, but I wasn't cool by any means. And these days, I do have more authority over the way I dress, the way I present myself, the things that I say, the people I communicate with. And I can be mean on Twitter, or if somebody challenges me in my own chat. Yeah, I can be that. Like, just be honest about who you are and where you come from. Tansy says, tell Unleash, LOL. Thank you. KB says, as long as Keemstar is writing hard for Gabbie Hanna, the commentary boys will follow suit. A debate with them would be so unproductive. Hope you're well, Leash. Thank you, KB, for wishing that for me. Yeah, I agree. I am all for a conversation. It's even people who are like, listen, I disagree with you, but let's have like a civil conversation about it. Because here's the thing. We love to talk about brain science here and there. If I were to go into a conversation with somebody like Nick Diorio, like I've responded to Tipster because I am suspending any sort of judgment that he is exactly like the rest of them. Like I said, I don't know that he deserved it, but I said in a video, he came into one of my live events, he seemed decent. And so even though I've been like firm in responding to him, I am suspending the belief that he is just like the rest of them. And so I am responding to his questions and his prompts. Like I'm treating them like they are legitimate prompts, and I'm responding. I could not have the faith that somebody like Nicholas Diorio, who I think has made really disgusting objective remarks at me. I have like vague memories of these things, but I don't remember exactly what was said. I'm sure people could pull up the tweets that I don't want to see. But when somebody is already standing in opposition of you, or you're in opposition of them mutually, whatever, then any sort of conversation is not conducive. You're already in your amygdala. You're already in your fight or flight, going limbic. So the only thing that you're able to do is think survive. I have to survive this person. I have to survive this interaction. And we've talked about this in my videos, which I watch Dr. Kirk's Psychology in Seattle, and I like the way he says there's no doing higher math. There's no doing higher math when you're in your limbic system, when you're going limbic. So if I were to have a conversation with somebody like Keemstar, with somebody like Nick, I think at this point, maybe Edwin, I thought maybe he was somebody I could have an actual conversation with, until, like I said, what I call frantic bickering in my DMs. Then I was like, oh no, dude is in his amygdala. So then at that point, there is no reasoning. When you can't do higher math, when you are only in survival mode and it is just me versus them, both of you on both ends, there is no flexibility to see where the other person is coming from, to inform your opinion, to change things a little bit here and there. There's none of that. So there are people who have come into this chat who've already decided they hate me. They've already decided that they hate what I stand for. They've already decided that they hate whatever is going to come out of my mouth before I even say it. I can even come in here and be like, guys, Gabby Hanna is being wrongfully persecuted. And they'd be like, fuck you. You're the one who did it to her. You don't care. That's exactly what happened right before I got off of Twitter, mostly. But because that's exactly what's happening in the brain. There's no flexibility. And that's why I preach so much nuance here and like flexibility of opinions. So that's a really long answer to all this, like have a debate with this person or that person topic. Paris Brayton says, honestly, there's no way she wasn't a mean girl if this is such a pattern. Yeah, it feels like Gabby and a lot of influencers never grew up past 16 for sure. Or I would argue maybe 22. Like, it's just there's so many like I don't know. I don't know the like mean girl world in high school because I wasn't in it, like I said. I can just tell when somebody is mean, and she is. Wreck Yourself also says, totally agree. She was a mean girl, but a mean girl who was bullied. I think she had a hard time being what she was trying to be because people saw through her. Yeah, that's quite possible. And like I said, like I didn't necessarily disagree that she couldn't have been bullied, but I thought that if it's true that what she's saying is like I was bullied, then it was probably like some sort of culture of back and forth. I could be wrong. It could be that she was just a laughing stock in an unfair way of her school. This is speculation on my part, but I think that if she was bullied, it was more just like I was fighting with people. People were mean to me, I was mean to people, and it was survival, that kind of thing. Let's see if I can get through some more email. I don't know that I'll be able to get through all of these. Let's give it a go. Let's see. We already read Witchy Writer. Perfect Vision says that Gabby likes proximity to the top of the patriarchy. Her champions are all cishet white men, the top of the food chain, and she's always putting people down just below that to bring herself up. Yeah, I mean, she says, she did say once, again, bring the receipts. I've got them all at the top of my head. She has said, like, I've never been one about the money, but in another interview was like, I'm a businesswoman. Got to make that dollar sign. Trust me, it was a very cringeworthy quote. I would remember it. So yeah, I can believe that. Wootash says Gabby has far too many insecurities and very obviously lacks any confidence within herself while putting a spotlight on her negative characteristics and personality traits for the internet to judge. Her way of dealing with her insecurities is by attacking the personalities online that appear to be inferior to her so she can manipulate and exploit the situation by attempting some rather predictable social engineering tactics. Gabby should log off and focus on real priorities. I mean, wow, that was a really cerebral tweet. But in terms of the inferiority thing, I think is very true. And it's another contradiction, hypocrisy that we see on Gabby Hanna's platforms. Like, don't ever call somebody irrelevant. Don't reduce somebody to their numbers. That's the meanest thing you can do. And then that's the very thing that she does. You want facts. You want receipts. Gabbie Hanna it is believed that she is threatened by other women, particularly attractive, intelligent women. Right? But then she reduces them to their lowest viewed video, miss 4K views, right? But then in another video said that is the meanest thing you can do. Don't do it. Contradictions all over the place because she doesn't, when she pulls out that SJW bullshit, that's exactly what it is. It's bullshit. She doesn't mean it. She's only saying it because, again, the fans love to say fits her narrative. She was defending her sister in that moment. Because I said that her sister was an arrogant ass little sister. And so she took to YouTube to talk about high school fucking bullies. And in glasses, by the way, Keemstar. And hoops and red lips. Don't know what that's about. But yeah, it's just contradictions everywhere. And I think it's the mean stuff that is actually like the good stuff is, I think, what she wants to stand for, but like what she really believes seeps through. So Sora Naval says people trying to say one type of channel has more facts than the other confuses them because both often bring the same sort of opinion-based content with the same facts and or slander. There's no difference except one has a makeup channel thrown in. They've spent years watching both sides for entertainment, and people forget that not every T channel is the same. And they're not only the same 6 channels that get brought up every single time. They've also seen very emotionally reactive crap from the commentary side. For example, the Slazo incident, I don't know what that's about. The commentary side actually turn on each other way faster than they see T channels do, and will jump just as quickly onto a topic that a T channel would cover if it's popular enough. I mean, that brings up a lot of good points. And I've talked about the difference between commentary and T or drama channels. T drama channels, they're there to like talk about what happened. Commentary channels are there to talk about what we think about what happened. And so we're going to be time out. Petty Page is in the chat. It says, I came here because you're making my Twitter angry. So I only came to stand. Keep drinking straight white male tears. I'm sorry I made your Twitter angry. I didn't realize that I was going to start the uproar that I did. Can you imagine it? We talked about you earlier in the chat. I love you for stepping in. Thank you. I love that. That knocked me off my guard. But yeah, commentary channels talk about what they think. And so that does employ the emotions. So for these men to be like, we are men, we are logical, we don't have emotions, we don't bring emotions to our thought. Well, like, then what's the point of making commentary? Get out of here. You don't have anything, you have no investment in what you're saying. I don't believe that, but that's what you're trying to pretend. This is some very old school thinking that logic is more valuable than feelings. That if you have feelings, you can't be logical. That if you have feelings, you can't be speaking facts. You can, and just like this person said, people on both sides of the coin are presenting facts, and they're presenting them in the way that fits what they feel. And that is absolutely what's happening. And that's what's happening with every single person. You don't have to have a commentary channel for that to happen. That happens to every single person that has an opinion. And guess what? Every single person on earth has an opinion about something. And oftentimes those opinions are informed by fact and affected by feelings. So even you guys, commentary bros, you can bring fact. It's also informed by feelings, what you say. Otherwise, you're just a news reporting channel. And you're not that. You say you're commentary. So where were we? Tear gang. Did I make someone cry? Let's see. Oh, because they were talking about that was fun. That was funny. I deserve to be water ganged for that. I feel bad. I feel like Jake is waiting. I told him we'd go to the candy store after this. So also, Crafty Princess says that the difference for them is that T channels want their communities to be an echo chamber of opinions, and they can't admit when they get things wrong. They've only watched a few of Nick's streams so far, but those guys are not afraid to correct each other when wrong, debate when they disagree, or call each other out on bad takes on all on stream. T channels would never. They need the hive mind type of vibe. These guys don't seem interested in a viewer base that just blindly agrees with them, so they think the commentary bros are the less of two evils. Okay, I've never watched their streams. If that's something that they do, awesome. If they debate on stream, awesome. If Tipster took what the things that I said and is like, okay, well then I'm changing how I say this or what I think about this, awesome. I just haven't seen the way they treat people on the outside, including me, is not consistent with that. I believe you if you say that that's what they do in their stream, and that's awesome if they do. I don't know that I agree that all T channels do that, because there are, like, I'm trying to think of an example, but I know like iNabber brought Gabbie Hanna on to interview her about the Kenza Cosmetics things, but he of course didn't press enough. There are people who have these conversations, and you have to admit that exists in this world because people have different opinions on different people. However, I do agree that there's a little bit more of a hive mind, because I cannot go on a video and say Ethan and Trisha were both wrong in this situation without getting dragged to the gallows. I can't. So I agree that there is some of that going on. And if these guys do that in stream with each other, fantastic. I would like to see that extended to the audience, because why are you not extending that also to the people in the T community? If you're so open to, and you don't want to be in an echo chamber, and you're so open to ideas, why can't you be open to the ideas that are those in the public opinion, in the public favor? Then you're just being contrarian. And if you're just being contrarian, if you're just conforming to nonconformity, then that's not a real informed opinion. And I'm not saying that's what they're doing, but that's the impression I'm getting when they just reject everything that that other T channel, because I'm going to say other because they are T and commentary channels. If they're just rejecting everything that those people are saying, then they're not open to this information that is actually very well informed. Sure, that might be an echo chamber, and it might need to be regulated a little bit better, might need to be criticized. That's what I want to do. But you have to be open to that information too. But if that's what they do, that's great. I love it. Beatty Kier says Gabby is the cool girl from Gone Girl. I wish I knew Gone Girl. I don't know the reference, but I'll look it up. Destiny Wasson says it's because Gabby has a hatred for women she feels threatened by. Yeah. Excuse me. Bechamel, I hope I pronounced that right, says Gabby has, it looks like it's a different spelling of Deschanel. No, Bechamel. I'm just going to stick with that. Gabby has always been insecure around other women, especially ones socially deemed desirable, because of the way people like Rice Gum bullied her about her appearance. But instead of taking out that very valid anger on the aggressor, like misogynistic men, she takes it out on the women who make her feel insecure and try to befriend those misogynistic men to gain their approval as cool girl, not an SJW, to make up for the fact that she couldn't have it using desirability alone. Bechamel believes Gabby is beautiful appearance-wise, and that beauty standards are inherently misogynistic and racist, and they're also Middle Eastern and have a huge nose they've always hated. They wish those standards didn't exist and they were allowed to love their body and face. But one thing they've never done is made women who fit into those standards feel like shit, because it's literally not their fault how they were treated. Yeah, it's a fucked up system, right? Do you know how much I worried before? I'm just gonna be real with you guys. Before coming on here, worried about like who's gonna like come in here and like call me fat or like, like insult my looks in some way. Because it's what happens. It's how some people want to get at us in a really cheap way. And I'm not saying that those guys are definitely going to do that to me. I mean, definitely for sure, if Keemstar is going for like why I wear glasses, then he's venturing into that territory. But the problem is then that you attack the problem, the source, not the other women who are like doing better than you in that regard. And like at the same time, like she's doing better than everyone, right? She's hot as shit. She's just fucking anyone's parents, blah, blah, blah. Then what's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem with other women? You're doing better, right? So like, I don't know. Yeah, it's fucked up. It's fucked up, and it's a problem that a lot of women have. And I think one of the reasons we talk about it a lot is because a lot of us can relate to have been there to some degree when we were much younger and immature. Adam AB says Gabby is a hypocrite, but she's not wrong. T channels are actual tabloids because they talk mostly about celebrity and YouTuber scandals, etc. Keemstar calling his videos a show doesn't make him any less of a tabloid. Even H3 at this point is the same. That's a lot of good points. What you brought up, you just happened to bring up a thought that I had. I don't like this using the term tabloids, because it really first of all it's a nod to celebrity life, which like YouTubers and influencers need to like dock their egos down a little bit and realize that you're not mainstream celebrities. Like some do enter that world, but if the Hollywood fix is not even following you around and trying to get an interview, you're not being followed around by tabloids. And the reason, and it's not because I want people to keep their ego in check. I don't care about that. My thing is that this is dangerously venturing into the territory of pretending that you're Britney Spears and that you're being oppressed like Britney Spears has been. That's what I think is happening. And that's why I think Gabby uses this word tabloid. So disregarding the use of the word tabloid, I do agree with a lot of what you're saying, because they talk mostly about celebrity and YouTuber scandals. I don't think so. I think because I've noticed that I watch Sloan for the celebrity stuff, and then I don't really see much of the celebrity stuff with other channels. Then again, you and I, not necessarily you specifically, this person, but you, the viewer, and I may have differing opinions on what makes a celebrity. Again, I grew up in the 90s. To me, a celebrity is Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, Paris Hilton. To Gen Z, celebrities might be the D'Amelio sisters and Addison Rae, Bryce Hall. So, but yeah, they do produce, and it all depends on various channels have differing value points. But yeah, they're producing content that isn't like the most cerebral, especially if you're talking tea and drama channels that are fast reporting, that are talking gossip. There is some value to us, especially if we're having meaningful conversations around it, but to some extent it is just cheap trash entertainment. And maybe you shouldn't be taken that seriously. But agreed. I mean, Keemstar's doing it, H3 is doing it. Yeah, a lot of people are doing it. Daniela says that those channels get a pass from Gabby because it's their attention and validation that she desperately craves. As Gabby said on the 3-hour phone call in regards to Jesse's ex, she just needed to know she could sleep with him if she wanted. Maybe their attention and validation feeds her ego, and she's always hungry. Yeah, it doesn't seem like she ever gets sated because she is beautiful. If we are talking about just physical appearance and sexual attractability, she has that, and she says that she can have any of our parents. So at what point is it enough? And for some reason, that doesn't seem that acknowledgement of your own physical beauty just doesn't. For some reason, it's not doing it for you. It's almost as if there are more important things to a person. Jason Thompson thinks that because Gabby falls into the trap of giving men way too much benefit of the doubt and room for growth, yes, boys will be boys or whatever. But so even despite her past with some of these people, Gabby can easily pretend like they're all mature and responsible adults who have learned and grown from their pasts, including herself, which is validation she craves. But with other groups of people, her internal prejudices jump out, and it's all women are gossips, narcissistic abusers, backstabbing bitches, and she's not like them. I agree that it seems like there's this like idea that all these people are a certain thing that she's not, when it's like, we're all just human beings, dude. Like I said, like she thinks she's just responding, but other people are not. Like, no, they're all just doing the same thing. And if you're gonna give the benefit of the doubt to these guys, you hear the things that Keemstar is currently saying. Ugly women, stupid effing bitch, antidepressant medicine, stay mad and fat. And you're gonna call him out on saying he's in a good relationship because that's mean to his ex. What? No. Like, don't get what? And yet you have a problem with if Jesse Smiles breathes in the wrong direction. Okay. Haley on YouTube says it's because Gabby's a pick-me girl. The end. Beauty Demon. Hey, Beauty Demon says that the internalized misogyny is strong in that one. Brittany says they think that Gabby might also feel sort of kinship with other problematic public figures who blame the public for being too sensitive instead of taking responsibility for themselves. Sure. Yes, but live in that. Keem is kind of doing it, but then he does, of course, like gets all kinds of triggered and like, stupid effing pee. But like, if you're gonna assume that like I'm problematic and I'm villainous, then like stay there. Don't whine and cry that you need to be coddled because the tabloids are making you go crazy. And when I say go crazy, I mean like I'm having a mental breakdown. I'm not having a mental breakdown. I'm trolling. I'm doing these like behaviors that are offensive, spastic, crossing my eyes, twitching, blah, 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 all that stuff. Like assume one or the other. If you're going to be a demon, be a demon. Fine, then we can stop talking about you because we know that you're just shit and we can move on. But you pretend that you're a good person and you deserve all kinds of this, that, and the other protection and coddling and recognition and all of this stuff, then live it. You have to walk the walk. You don't get to just go, I have these diagnoses, so like give me all this stuff. You guys all have to behave right. I don't. I have diagnoses. No, it doesn't work like that. Chef Lean says it's literally just because they're the only people shitty enough and coincidentally the only people who desperately need to be contrarian no matter how disgusting or morally reprehensible the cost. It's the most pathetic thing they've ever seen. 30 to 40-year-old adults still somehow stuck in middle school spewing their stunted takes all over actually serious and important topics like Gabby. That's all I'm going to say. Maddie says that they don't understand why we're trying to paint it as these people being Gabby's new quote unquote friends. They have all criticized Gabby in the past, and Gabby isn't okay with all of their behavior either. It seems to them they wanted a Gabby Hanna podcast and those views, and Gabby Hanna wanted an interview with podcast channels, not T channels. they think it's a reach when Gabby is now friends with them because they're straight white men. Now, that's an interesting point, because the only reason I say that is because, or not the only reason, but one reason I say that is because Keem pretending to be all kinds of buddy with Trisha Paytas and then finding out that he was really trying to like bamboozle Trisha really kind of gives the same vibe as like, I'm going to pretend that we're friends, but really I just want you on my podcast for the views or the listens or whatever. We've got 2 more here. Layla says it reflects Gabby's internalized misogyny because Angelica, Dustin, Rachel, etc. represent feminine energy with a lot of poise, power, and dignity, and it intimidates her. So she wants more male energy approval. Yes, approval is an important word here. Gabby is like a canceled content chameleon, emulating those around her. And if Keem is someone Gabby holds in high esteem, we can assume they share values around drama, aka Keem's career. AKA Keem's career, which is drama, Gabby. Everyone she deems as femme-presenting women are a threat to her. Dustin, Joey, Daniel, too, as gay men would also be threats. She can't handle respectful, constructive criticism because it makes her feel lesser than. Her name is also hugely profitable right now, so she'll be selective with who she does interviews with. Yeah, and to bring in Joey and Daniel, too, you want to talk about facts and receipts. Gabby does not present factual information in her videos. Some of it is, but we've noticed somebody's pointed out a video that my patrons linked yesterday, pointed out that she puts all kinds of screenshots on screen. I've pointed out that she'll put screenshots on screen that are just either impertinent information or just downright incorrect information. Or somebody else pointed out that she'll put duplicates to kind of like increase the effect that it has. And she said she gave all this information, and then Daniel and Joey come out with real receipts. You keep calling for receipts. They gave the receipts to prove. Like she says, they didn't have the food there that I needed. And then they're like, oh, here's actually a photo that I took with the text messages that I took asking Gabby exactly what she needed from Whole Foods. And I bought it for her, and it sat out and it rotted. And then I don't buy, by the way, and I talk about this in my videos, this from last week and this week, which I don't know if I said, I think it's coming out Sunday night, but I don't remember what I was going to say. Just the way that she, the whole like, oh, well, I said I was a dick and an asshole. Again, remember how we were talking about how like she laughs along with FaZe and Keem and is like, oh yeah, totally. Yes. But then like away from them, she says something entirely different. Excuse me. So Keem and FaZe are like, what's the problem? Gabby said that she was a dick. Gabby said she was a bitch. Gabby said she was difficult. Gabby said she was an asshole. No, Gabby said, I apologized and nobody apologized back. That was one point that she made. She did say she was difficult to work with, and then she did say I was a bitch, and then she retracted that. She said, no, I was not a bitch. I have ADHD. I was dealing with an undiagnosed mental illness. So no, she did not admit to being a bitch. And last one, Emily Chertoz on YouTube thinks it's a part of Gabby's numbers game too. Notice how she had no rebuttal for Daniel and Joey, who not only had proof of how awful she was, but have enough clout to create Escape the Night, or iNabber, who has a pretty healthy fan base. It's easier for someone like Gabby to punch down at creators who aren't on her level. Yep. She loves to go for Miss 4K views, right? She loves to go for the girl with 25K views, and she can leave that live stream up after her having a whole episode so that people won't even know what the fuck she's talking about, and then just like casually and quietly delete that. Hey, commentary bros, did you know that she did that to me? And then she went on live stream and read all of our screenshots and also told her Instagram live that Oscar sharing the screenshot of their conversation was so weird and wrong in any context. Do you know that she did that? And then deleted it and never addressed it, and then went on to the podcast with Keem and FaZe and said that there's never been a situation that she hasn't apologized for. Why did she take it down if she didn't do something wrong? Whew. Got through all of those emails and chats and comments, and let's look at the last of the these donations here. Alistair says, as a straight man, I would not start following Gabby. She has gone too far. Same with Keemstar. When they attacked Jesse Smiles, there was no coming back. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Especially with Keem. Like, that's really all you need, right? Tansy says, my last donation for today. I put aside money every week. Aw, just for this. Love you, beautiful. You don't need to do that. Thank you. And thank you for all the fun emojis. Jessica says, when T channels stop saying stuff like, oh, you like Keem, you must be this, and the like is when a conversation can happen. To some degree, I agree. I lobby back and forth with the whole you are the company you keep, because I do not need to address every single thing every single one of my friends says. That's unrealistic. And there are some people out there who think like you need to atone for everything that your friend says or did. But when you're talking about somebody that stands for X, Y, and Z, and it's all bad, and these people are writing and dying for that person, or at least just supporting him and platforming him and all of that, you do kind of need to address, that whether or not you do agree with that. And with somebody who so egregiously violates people's rights, their right to just be safe in themselves, like Keemstar is, to be his friend isn't an endorsement. And that is one that, I'm sorry, when it's somebody that bad, I don't know that there's any credibility to you whatsoever. I don't see it. Somebody that dangerous and that hurtful, you don't, just because he said this and that doesn't necessarily mean that they do, but the fact that he keeps saying this, that, and this, and that, and this, and that, and this, and that, and they continue to be friends with him, that's a problem. Sammy is random says, Nick on Twitter, our fans know when we say T channel, we mean drama channels that cover the beauty, makeup, and art community, not misogynist though. T channel, we mean channels that cover the beauty, makeup, and art community. Oh, funny, because I know Gabby says she's an artist these days, but like she's not a member of those communities, but I'm pretty sure all this like talk is around people that talk about Gabby. And for sure when we're talking about Gabby, we're not talking about her art most of the time anyway. Jessica also says, and also thank you to Sammy and to Jessica for your donations. Jessica says, most channels don't recognize nuance. That's my criticism. I can like Keem without agreeing with everything he does. Yeah, you can. You don't have to agree with everything he does. I think he's so bad that if you like him, I can't be your friend. But most channels don't recognize nuance is something I can very much agree with. And that is actually my biggest complaint about the internet. So you and I see eye to eye on that. Thank you for the donation. Ollie says, just wanted to say I love to hear your opinions and thank you for a fun BAP. Thank you guys. This ended up being a lot more fun than I expected, to be honest with you. I didn't know what to expect. It ended up being a lot of fun. And we went over, and I don't care because it was a good time. And it was actually, I think, exactly what I needed for everything that just went on today. If you guys could give the video a like, something I need to remember to do. No, there are more than 65 likes. I can see them. I don't know if you guys are talking about my thing, but if you could give it a like, because we had a good chat here. Just a couple of things to remember. That, of course, follow me on social media. That's where you can keep abreast of things like the topics before BAP. That's obviously with these commentary bros. I'm not tagging them, but they sure did find my my prompts. And these people whose messages I read, they either found these prompts on Instagram, Twitter, community tab. Those are the places you can find me. And I am most active, or I try to be most active on Instagram and community tab, but just follow me anyway. Also on Depop. Sorry. Guys, is that something that I should read? What you just put in there? Oh, there was another super chat. Okay, sorry. There was the last super chat that says, apparently, this is alleged, it's not something I can say, but Sammy's Random says the Tipster has the Social Blade Chrome extension too. Gross. Interesting. Yeah, but if you could also make sure that you're subscribed and hit the notification bell. I never wanted to be this person who was like, YouTube is unsubscribing people, but I actually have had people say, oh my God, I'm unsubscribed. So, and I know that we're having issues with getting notifications for these live events. It's such a thorn in my foot. Sometimes I make fun of people who don't get their euphemisms right, and then I'm like, thorn in my back. No. But if you could just make sure in my side, thank you, thorn in my side. See, that doesn't make as much sense as foot, does it? But yeah, make sure that you hit the notification bell so that you can be here because just about everything that I post on YouTube is a live event. So you're missing out on the opportunity of engaging with each other. If you do like engaging with this community, please consider joining the Patreon. Again, of course, if you are somebody who is like-minded and that you are open to growing and open to helping others grow in a way that is respectful, and also just having a good time and being there for each other and engaging in like clubs and activities and fun channels. And sometimes it's light chit chat, sometimes it's heavy and introspective stuff. So it's a really good time over there. The people there are just, I always say they're amazing, fantastic, fucking incredible people. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on YouTube, if you could just take a moment now to give the video a like, or if you are listening on a podcast streaming platform, if you could leave a review if you've got a moment, if you're on the treadmill or just walking or something like that, maybe you could just be like, hey, cool time. Or just like, I don't know if you can do emojis on a review, but the mic review, remember to go over to Hello Leash on Instagram and comment the mic if you saw my outfit and heard about it through here. Let me know what you think about me putting this on Depop. The reason I was saying that I'm not sure about putting it on Depop is because I made it myself. So because it's one of a kind, because I made it myself, I of course am going to want to list it at a higher price, like a couple $100s. But at the same time, like, if you look on the insides, the construction is not perfect. So there's part of me that's like, it doesn't deserve to be that high, but at the same time, it doesn't deserve to be any lower because it's a handmade beat, just let me know what you think. But yeah, let me know if you want to be part of the conversation. Just reach out in any of those ways, to include email, bap@helloleash.com. And I think that's everything I needed to say. Drink their tears, queen, says Betty Page. I'm so glad I clicked over to see that. Here we go. Here's the last of them. It was full, but now we're down to the last few ounces. There we go. Finish those tears. All right, guys. I'm going to make sure that my guy is still awake. And if so, we're going to go for a quick walk. I love you guys. Thank you so much for a good time. It was awesome. All right. And don't expect to find me on Twitter. Y'all those who are angry, you can go cry. I don't care. I won't be there. But I love y'all, even you guys. Love you. Bye.